Well, let's go hunting, says Robin and Bobbin. No, let's go hunting, says Jack of the Can. Let's go hunting, says Daniel to Joe. Let's go hunting, says Billy Barlow. Well, what'll we hunt for, says Robin and Bobbin. No, what'll we hunt for, says Jack of the Can. What'll we hunt for, says Daniel to Joe. What'll we hunt for, says Billy Barlow. We will hunt for the wren, says Robin and Bobbin. We'll hunt for the wren, says Jack of the Can. Hunt for the wren, says Daniel to Joe. We'll hunt for the wren, says Billy Barlow. How will we shoot it, says Robin and Bobbin. No, how will we shoot it, says Jack of the Can. How will we shoot it, says Daniel to Joe. How will we shoot it, says Billy Barlow. We'll build us a cannon, says Robin and Bobbin. We'll build us a cannon, says Jack of the Can. Build us a cannon, says Daniel to Joe. We'll build us a cannon, says Billy Barlow. How will we divide it, says Robin and Bobbin. How will we divide it, says Jack of the Can. How we divide it, says Daniel to Joe. How will we divide it, says Billy Barlow. Well, I'll take the drumstick, says Robin and Bobbin, and I'll take the wishbone, says Jack of the Can. I'll take the toe, says Daniel to Joe. Tailbone is mine, says Billy Barlow. Oh, and how will we cook it, says Robin and Bobbin, and how will we cook it, says Jack of the Can. How will we cook it, says Daniel to Joe. How will we cook it, says Billy Barlow. Well, I'll broil the drumstick, says Robin and Bobbin, and I'll fry the wishbone, says Jack of the Can. I'll boil the toe, says Daniel to Joe. Tailbone raw, says Billy Barlow. Well, there are a lot of different holidays celebrated in the month of December at the time of the Winter Solstice, and that one sure doesn't sound like a Christmas song. I learned it from my mentor, Sam Hinton, who was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, back on March 31st of 1917, and he said that they sang that song in Tulsa 100 years ago in his boyhood, and he didn't learn till many years later when he was a college student, and he looked it up in the university library, that it was in fact an American parody of an old pagan holiday song from Wales called the Cutty Wren. It's been in a book since the year 1744, and it's probably much older than that. One of the old pagan holidays was to go out on the morning of December 26th, St. Stephen's Day, the day after Christmas, and go out in the forest and find a great big stick so you could go and reenact an old pagan ritual of symbolic slaughter, killing the old year and ushering in the new by hunting a little songbird that sings even in the middle of winter, the European wren. There's a legend that says that St. Stephen was hiding from his enemies 2,000 years ago, and a chattering wren betrayed his hiding place, so in retribution on St. Stephen's Day, the wren must die. Now, you may not go out on December 26th in the morning and look for a wren in the forest, but it was a popular custom for hundreds of years in the eastern United States and Western Europe, and we have lots and lots of songs about going out and looking for a wren on December 26th. Here's one that comes from Ireland. The wren, the king of all birds, St. Stephen's Day was caught in the furs. Though he was little, his honour was great. Jump up, me lads, and give us a treat. As I was going to keel and all, I met a wren upon the wall. Up with my noble I knocked him down, and brought him into Drolin town. Drolin, where's your nest? It's in the bush that I love best. In the tree, the holly tree, where all the boys do follow me. Up with the kettle and down with the pan, and I'll give you a penny to bury the wren. We followed the wren 3 miles or more, 3 miles or more, 3 miles or more. Followed the wren 3 miles or more. At 6 o'clock in the morning, I have a little box under my arm, under my arm, under my arm. I have a little box under my arm. A penny or twopence will do us no harm. Mrs. McGrath is a very good woman, a very good woman, a very good woman. Mrs. McGrath is a very good woman. She gave us a penny to bury the wren. Here are songs for Christmas and Christmas songs from an American English-speaking folk tradition. These songs grew out of and were used in the old-time American Christmas celebration. Not a celebration of Santa Claus and tinseled trees, but one of homespun worship and festivity. These songs are chosen for this program not just because they're great songs, but because of the genuineness with which they express the Christmas attitudes and values of the people who sang these songs long ago in the communities of which they were a part. Noteworthy Sundays is a free community concert series at your library, sponsored by the Friends of the Library, Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence J. Heck, the Washington County Arts Council, and the Western Maryland Regional Library. Here's a holiday tradition that sounds a little bit like Halloween, when children go around at night in their costumes, asking for candy, going door to door to the neighbors. Well, this is a door-to-door tradition at Christmas. It's been practiced for about 800 years, for 8 centuries. People have gone door to door on Christmas Day with an empty cup. In the old days, it was made out of wood or clay, and they'd ask the neighbors to fill up their cup with wassail, and they would drink the wassail and sing a wassail song, and then go to the next neighbor's house and do the same thing. Now, kids don't really like wassail. Wassail's made out of wine and cider and spices and oranges, and it's sort of an adult beverage that children don't really like. But adults do enjoy it, and I guess some people today still make wassail on Christmas Day and still sing wassail songs, and there are many, many different wassail songs. Here's an American wassail song that's on the new CD, Make My Present Small, Traditional Folk Songs for Christmas and the Winter Holidays. This one comes from Kentucky, and it was collected by a man named John Jacob Niles. It's been in a book since the year 1857, so it's been around for a long time. And the chorus says, "Wassail, wassail, all over the town. The cup is white and the ale is brown. The cup is made from the old oak tree and the ale is made in Kentucky. So its joy be to you and a jolly wassail." Wassail, wassail, all over the town. The cup is white and the ale is brown. The cup is made from the old oak tree. The ale is made in Kentucky. So its joy be to you and a jolly wassail. Good man, good wife, are you within? Pray lift the latch, let us come in. We see you sitting by a wee snug fire while we're out here in the muck and the mire. So its joy be to you and a jolly wassail. Wassail, wassail, all over the town. The cup is white and the ale is brown. The cup is made from the old oak tree and the ale is made in Kentucky. So its joy be to you and a jolly wassail. Now there was an old woman and she lived in a house. She kept a pet, a tiny wee mouse. The night was cold but the house was warm, and a little bit of liquor won't do no harm. So its joy be to you and a jolly wassail. Wassail, wassail, all over the town. The cup is white and the ale is brown. The cup is made from the old oak tree and the ale is made in Kentucky. So its joy be to you and a jolly wassail. So its joy be to you and a jolly wassail. Kentucky wassail. They say that Martin Luther, the great Christian reformer, was the first person to put lighted candles on an evergreen tree. It's a tradition that comes out of Germany, and they say that the reason that we have Christmas trees in England and the United States is in the late 1840s they started publishing pictures of the royal family in England standing before the Christmas tree with lighted candles on it, and a picture of that kind appeared in the Godey's Ladies Book in the United States in 1850. The Godey's Ladies Book was published by a woman named Sarah Josepha Hale. It had about 150,000 subscribers in 1850. You may not know of Sarah Josepha Hale or her magazine, but all of us know the poem she wrote in 1824, Mary Had a Little Lamb. And her magazine was very widespread and inspired a lot of people in America to have Christmas trees. Now, in the month of December, if you go into a grocery store in the United States, you'll hear the same 19 Christmas songs played over and over and over again till you just kind of tune them out and don't listen anymore. Most of them were written by songwriters in New York City trying to have a hit record for Christmas, and a lot of them were successful doing that, but a few of the ones played in the grocery store are actually traditional. Here's one that I heard played in the grocery store last weekend. It was written in 1843 in France by a classical composer named Adolphe Adam. They had just renovated the big church organ in a church in Rougemont, France, and they hired Mr. Adam to write a new piece of music to be played on that church organ. So he wrote this tune, and 12 years later, a Unitarian minister in England put words to it, and it's been a Christmas song ever since. This one is on my new CD. And I'll play it for you as an auto harp instrumental. Of course, it's the one that you call O Holy Night. In every country, on every continent, in every culture in late December, at the darkest time of the year, people have celebrated the oldest holiday in human history, the birthday of the sun, the winter solstice, which is the longest night and the shortest day of the year. You may notice that as the months progress from summer to autumn to winter, the sun appears to be lower and lower and lower in the sky each day. And in the really old days, before the advent of Christianity, people were concerned that if there wasn't a whole lot of partying and merriment and singing and dancing and festivity, the sun might just keep on going and never come back. This was a serious concern in old times. And the early Christian leaders intentionally incorporated the dates of some of these pagan holidays into their holiday calendar. Not having any accurate data as to the date on which Jesus was born, they intentionally moved his birthday to the end of December, right near that winter solstice that people had been celebrating for tens of thousands of years, and we've been celebrating Christmas at the end of December for about 1,700 years. A woman named Betty Mae Bowman and a group of African-American women inmates at State Penitentiary in Parchman, Mississippi, sang a Christmas song called The Last Month of the Year for a WPA song collection project in June of 1939. This is one of the ones that I learned from my mentor, Sam Hinton. And this is the song that asks, what month was my Jesus born in? And of course, the correct answer is the last month of the year. Tell me what month was my Jesus born in the last month of the year? Tell me what month was my Jesus born in the last month of the year? Well, you got January, February, March, oh Lord, you got April, May, and June, Lord. July, August, September, October, and November. You got the 25th day of December. Why, it's the last month in the year. I'm talking about Mary's baby in the last month in the year. I'm talking about Mary's baby in the last month of the year. Well, you got January, February, March, oh Lord, you got April, May, and June, Lord. July, August, September, October, and November. You got the 25th day of December. Why, it's the last month in the year. He was born in an ox-stall manger in the last month of the year. He was born in an ox-stall manger in the last month of the year. Well, you got January, February, March, oh Lord, you got April, May, and June, Lord. July, August, September, October, and November. You got the 25th day of December. Why, it's the last month in the year. Well, they say that Christmas is compulsory, like a thunderstorm. We all go through it together. Here's another one you hear in the grocery store every December. This one was written by a man from Russia whose name was Irving Berlin. He wanted to be a songwriter, and in 1911, he published a piece of music that sold over 1 million copies of sheet music in less than 90 days, and he was well on his way to being one of the most successful songwriters in American history in the 20th century. In 1940, he couldn't go home to New York City to see his wife and children for Christmas because he'd signed a contract to stay in Hollywood and write songs for a new movie. So he stayed at the La Quinta Hotel down in Palm Springs, back before it was a chain, the original La Quinta Hotel, and he had a piano in his suite, and there he composed a song about what it's like to be far from the people you love at Christmas time, and it turned out to be the most recorded song in the history of recorded music. But most people who recorded it didn't include the introductory verse he wrote about how it all came to be. The sun is shining, the grass is green, the orange and palm trees sway. There's never been such a day in Beverly Hills, LA. But it's December the 24th, and I am longing to be up north. This is probably the most widespread Hanukkah song in the United States, and it originally came from Western Europe, and it's on the new CD, Make My Present Small, Traditional Folk Songs for Christmas and the Winter Holidays. Hanukkah, oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, I'll give you a treat. Dreidels to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Well, you know, President Calvin Coolidge inaugurated the first Christmas tree lighting ceremony at the White House on the South Lawn back in 1923, but we didn't get a menorah lighting ceremony at the White House for Hanukkah until Jimmy Carter started doing it in 1979. Now, friends, you know it wasn't that long ago when only the kings and queens and presidents and governors were rich enough to have other people play music for them. In the old days, regular folks like you and me had to make our own music. That's why it's called folk music, because it's made by regular folks like you and me. And in the old days, if you wanted music, you didn't push a button or turn a knob or stick earbuds inside your ears. In those days, if you wanted music, there were two places you could get it. You could make the music yourself with your hands or with your mouth and sing, or you could find somebody like me to come along and sing and play for you. There were only two places you'd get music in those days when music was shared from one person's mouth to another person's ear. Here's a song from those days. This one's called The Cherry Tree Carol. This one came from England. It's been in a book since the year 1878, and there are dozens of different versions and dozens of different melodies for this wonderful tune. Here's an American version that's on the new CD. This one came from Knott County, Kentucky. It was collected in 1917 from a man by the name of Will Wooten, and the only thing that he could tell us was that he had learned the song from his grandmother and that she came from England, which is where the song originally came from. The Cherry Tree Carol, about Jesus' first miracle. When Joseph was an old man was he. He married Virgin Mary, the Queen of Galilee. He married Virgin Mary, the Queen of Galilee. As Joseph and Mary was walking one day, here are apples, here are cherries, sweet Mary did say. Here are apples, here are cherries, sweet Mary did say. Then up spoke Virgin Mary, so meek and so mild, Joseph, gather me some cherries, for I am with child. Joseph, gather me some cherries, for I am with child. But Joseph flew in anger, and in anger flew he. Let the father of your baby gather cherries for thee. Let the father of your baby gather cherries for thee. Then up spoke baby Jesus from his mother's womb. My mother wants some cherries, so cherry tree bow down. My mother wants some cherries, so cherry tree bow down. And the cherry tree had bowed down so low to the ground, and Mary gathered cherries while Joseph stood around. And Mary gathered cherries while Joseph stood around. Then Joseph took Mary all on his left knee. Oh, what have I done, Lord, have mercy on me. Oh, what have I done, Lord, have mercy on me. Then Joseph took Mary all on his right knee. Oh, tell me, little baby, when your birthday will be. Oh, tell me, little baby, when your birthday will be. On the 6th day of January, my birthday will be, and the stars in the firmament will tremble with glee. And the stars in the firmament will tremble with glee. The baby says, on the 6th day of January my birthday will be, and the stars in the firmament will tremble with glee. Well, you know that song about the 12 days of Christmas, the one about the partridge in a pear tree? If you start counting on the 25th of December and you count 12 nights of Christmas, the 12th night is January 6th, what they call the 12th night of Christmas. Now, the Old English word for the Mass of Christ, Christmas, has been in a book for nearly 1,000 years. It was first printed in the year 1038. And you know those images we have of Santa up on the roof with the reindeer and the sleigh coming down the chimney? Well, that's less than 200 years old. That was dreamed up by a man named Clement Moore when he wrote a poem called A Visit from St. Nick in 1825. We call it 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And you know that image of Santa Claus, the heavy-set guy with the white beard and the red suit? Well, that comes out of a cartoon that Thomas Nast drew for Harper's Weekly back in 1863. So some of the images of Christmas that we enjoy today are not even as old as some of the songs in this program. My new CD is called Make My Present Small, Traditional Folk Songs for Christmas and the Winter Holidays. And I'll sing you the title track off of the new CD. This one was written by a man in Missouri by the name of Bob Coltman. And if you wake up tomorrow morning and you can't get this song out of your head, well, let me apologize in advance. And he started this song off with a traditional lick from a traditional Christmas song. Now, Santa Claus, I'm writing you with extra special care. This request's important, please, so grant it in this year. I am asking for just one thing, and it is for us all. Not asking much for me alone, and make my present small. Make my present small. Peace on earth for all. Real peace on earth, goodwill to men, and make my present small. I know I've asked in other years for trains and other toys, but this year won't you just bring peace to all the girls and boys? To hungry kids please bring 'em food, to chilly ones bring fire, and Santa just bring peace on earth, all for the heart's desire. Make my present small, peace on earth for all. Real peace on earth, goodwill to men, and make my present small. I know this letter's getting long, and there's so little time, but Santa, won't you bring an end to hurtfulness and crime? To every heart please bring a smile, to every face a kiss. I would forfeit all my Christmas gifts if you would just do this. Make my present small, peace on earth for all. Real peace on earth, goodwill to men, and make my present small. Make my present small, peace on earth for all. Real peace on earth, goodwill to men, and make my present small. If you have any questions or comments for me, please use the comments section below the video, and I'll be sure to post a response. And if you're fortunate enough to be able to help a family in need during this challenging holiday season, please consider making a donation to the Washington County Community Action Council or the United Way of Washington County. You'll find links to their websites and other excellent local service providers at 211md.org. Here's an instrumental that I'll play for you on the autoharp. It was an old folk song in Wales 200 years ago. It's been in a book since 1802, and somehow, inexplicably, it has become a Christmas song in the United States. It's called The Ash Grove. the ash grove. Well, you know, the Canadians got their first Christmas stamp way back in 1898, but we didn't get Christmas stamps in the United States till 1962. Here's another one off of the new CD. This one originally came from Spain, and this is the one where the shepherds and lassies go leaping and dancing the Eve of Noel. And if there's anybody in the audience who'd like to get up on their feet and do a little bit of leaping and dancing, this is the song to do it to. Shepherds and lassies come leaping and dancing the Eve of Noel, the Eve of Noel, the Eve of Noel. Make up a bed for the young child of Mary, make up a bed for she lies now with child. Shepherds and lassies come leaping and dancing the Eve of Noel, the Eve of Noel, the Eve of Noel. What will we bring him, the young child of Mary? What will we bring him to play our small parts? Shepherds and lassies come leaping and dancing the Eve of Noel, the Eve of Noel, the Eve of Noel. Grapes we will bring him, figs, walnuts, and olives, olives and grapes, and the love of our hearts. Shepherds and lassies come leaping and dancing the Eve of Noel, the Eve of Noel, the Eve of Noel. Weep no more, darling, nor grieve me so sorely. Weep no more, darling, this Eve of Noel. Shepherds and lassies come leaping and dancing the Eve of Noel, the Eve of Noel, the Eve of Noel. Sometimes the songs themselves have clues to what countries they came from. That song says, grapes we will bring him, figs, walnuts, and olives in the month of December. I don't think we're in Norway or Sweden. You'd have to be way south on the Mediterranean in a place like Spain or Yugoslavia to find things to eat like that late in the year. Here's another tradition that sounds a little bit like Halloween. People would go door to door in the old days. I think this originally started on November 1st, on All Souls Day. People would go door to door asking for a soul cake, and while they ate the soul cake, they would pray for somebody who died that year. Now, sugar was hard to get in the old days. Before they had refined sugar, you had to be pretty rich to buy sugar, so you'd often sweeten your desserts with ripe fruit. You know, in the story of The Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, the Cratchit family on Christmas night, they have a plum pudding, and I imagine those plums were canned by Mrs. Cratchit in the summer when they were ripe, and then she took them and she used them to make the pudding because they were full of wonderful sugar from the fruit, and sugar was, of course, expensive. And the same was true of the soul cake. Hundreds of years ago, they didn't have any sugar to put in the soul cake, so they put raisins or currants on top to make it sweet while you ate it, and sang for people. And we have a song from the days of the soul cake. A soul cake, please, good missus, a soul cake. An apple, a pear, a plum, or a cherry, any good thing to make us merry. 1 for Peter and 2 for Paul, 3 for him who made us all. God bless the master of this house, the mistress also, and all the little children that round the table grow. Likewise young men and maidens, and all your cattle store, and all who dwell within these gates, we wish you 10 times more. A soul cake, please, good missus, a soul cake. An apple, a pear, a plum, or a cherry, any good thing to make us merry. 1 for Peter and 2 for Paul, 3 for him who made us all. Down into your cellars to see what you can find. If your barrels are not empty, we hope you will be kind. We hope you will prove generous with your apples and strong beer, and will come no more a soul until this time next year. A soul cake, please, good missus, a soul cake. An apple, a pear, a plum, or a cherry, any good thing to make us merry. 1 for Peter and 2 for Paul, 3 for him who made us all. Well, Peter Tchaikovsky was a composer of classical music who lived in Russia. He only lived to be 52 years old, and in the last year of his life, he wrote music for a new ballet that was not successful. But those tunes, after his death, those tunes have become what we call the Nutcracker Suite Ballet. And if not for the Nutcracker Suite Ballet, we wouldn't have ballet in the United States, because whether we're talking about your local community ballet or the biggest production company in New York City, a professional ballet company, they all derive $2 out of $5. 40% of their revenue comes from December performances of the Nutcracker Suite Ballet. So important to American ballet is this one show. And if you ask the audience, has anyone ever seen a ballet? They all usually raise their hands. And if you ask them, was it the Nutcracker Suite Ballet? Many of those hands go right back up again. Well, there are wonderful tunes in the Nutcracker Suite Ballet, wonderful melodies that Mr. Tchaikovsky wrote, and I like to play them on the auto harp, and this one's on the new CD. This is from the Nutcracker Suite Ballet. If you're familiar with the show, there's a part where through an act of magic, the toys come to life. Now, as a rule, the banjo was not welcome at the Christmas Eve watch night service, but the banjo was welcome to join the fiddle in a lively, sinful tune on Christmas night, and 100 years ago, any song that didn't have religious lyrics was considered a sinful tune, and people would dance all night long with no band on cross feet until the rooster crowed, and then at sunrise they'd take off those shoes and carry them home as they walked through those muddy, swampy bottomlands. Some people climbed 4 people on the back of a mule, all holding on to each other or sleepy, riding home into the sunrise, and the rest of the folks would pile into the back of a 10-ox wagon, riding over the hills and through the valleys, heading home through the sunrise, so the grown-ups could get into bed and have that long winter's nap, and the children could go out in the woods and look for a wren. 'Twas on a night like this, a beautiful babe was born. The shepherds gathered around him to guard him till the dawn. Above him shone a star so wondrous bright, that never since in all these years we've not seen one quite so bright, shining so clearly, shining so brightly, guiding their footsteps from afar. It led them through the night, a path to love and brotherhood, while following its light. So come with us tonight and join us on our way we have seen that star again to light a better day. Although throughout the land some search the skies in vain, but turn that glance within their hearts, they would find that star again, shining so clearly, shining so brightly, guiding their footsteps from afar. It led them through the night, a path to love and brotherhood, while following its light. That one comes from Naples, Italy. They call it the Bagpiper Carol or the Star Carol, and the legend is that on Christmas night, the shepherds can leave their flocks alone on the mountains and come down into the valley to the town to join in the Christmas celebration. And I believe it was Pete Seeger himself who translated that one from the Italian. Here's a poem for Christmas by the African-American theologian Howard Thurman called The Work of Christmas. When the song of the angel is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and the princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flocks, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoners, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among brothers, to make music in the heart. The old-time American Christmas celebration was a season of two moods, both holy day and holiday. There was singing and dancing, and there was praying and worshiping, and there was music for both. Here's one that comes from Mississippi. This is an African-American Christmas spiritual. I believe this comes from the repertoire of Mississippi's Sister Thea Bowman, and it's another one I learned from my mentor Sam Hinton. I've never found this one on a recording or in a book. It's the one that's on my new CD, and it's called Poor Little Jesus, This World is Going to Break Your Heart. Poor little Jesus, this world is gonna break your heart. There'll be no place to lay your head, my Lord. Oh, poor little Jesus. Mary, she's the mother. Oh, Mary, she laid down and cried. For there's no place to lay your head, my Lord. Oh, poor little Jesus. Sing, you holy angels, sing round him with your golden harps. For one day he will die to save this world. Oh, poor little Jesus. Here's another African-American spiritual, and this one comes from Louisiana. I found this one in a book published in 1925, written by Robert M. Kennedy. The book is called Mellows, A Chronicle of Unknown Singers, Negro Work Songs, Street Cries, and Spirituals. This one was written by Sister Mackey at the Putney Ward's Church in Gretna, Louisiana, and Ruth Crawford Seeger collected it in her wonderful book, American Folk Songs for Christmas, published in 1953. Well, you read in the Bible about Matthew, the Bible about Luke and John. Read in the Bible and learn the news, how the little boy child was born. Oh, Mary, where is your baby that untook him from the manger and carried him to the throne? Oh, Mary, where is your baby that untook him from the manger and carried him to the throne? Well, you read how Mary and Joseph come, riding on a donkey from afar. They slept in the stable in Bethlehem, where the shepherds all seen the star. Oh, Mary, where is your baby that untook him from the manger and carried him to the throne? Oh, Mary, where is your baby that untook him from the manger and carried him to the throne? Well, you read about the elders and the Hebrew priests preaching in the tabernacle hall, standing there wondering at the words they heard from a little boy child so small. Tell me, little boy, how old you is. Tell me if it can be told. Tell me, little boy, how old you is. Well, I ain't but 12 years old. Oh, Mary, where is your baby that untook him from the manger and carried him to the throne? Oh, Mary, where is your baby that untook him from the manger and carried him to the throne? Well, this next one comes from Andalusia, and it's well known to children on both sides of the Atlantic. I learned it from Dave Parra and Kathy Barton, and it was translated into English by the man whose name is Roy Ringwald, and this is the one about the chocolate burrow. In Bethlehem town, so merry and gay, ring-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-lay, the chocolate burrow comes today with boxes and bars for all who will pay. Ring-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-lay. He says to the kids, do not delay. Maria, Maria, come a-running, I say. There's chocolate sweet for your baby today. Maria, Maria, come a-running, I say. There's chocolate sweet for your baby today. Sweet Mary the maid was sewing that day when she heard a ring-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-lay, a patch for St. Joseph's coat of gray. She did not look up, her eyes did not stray to the ring-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-lay. She knew that for sweets she could not pay. Maria, Maria, come a-running, I say. There's chocolate sweet for your baby today. Maria, Maria, come a-running, I say. There's chocolate sweet for your baby today. Then into the room with a burst and a bray and a ring-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-lay, the chocolate burrow makes his way right up to the crib with all his display. And a ring-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-lay, he kneels with the other beasts to pray. Maria, Maria, come a-running, I say. There's chocolate sweet for your baby today. Maria, Maria, come a-running, I say. There's chocolate sweet for your baby today. And now here's a recitation from Dylan Thomas's A Child's Christmas in Wales. Always on Christmas there was music. An uncle played the fiddle, and a cousin sang Cherry Ripe, and another sang Drake's Drum. It was very warm in the little house. Auntie Hannah, who'd gotten into the parsnip wine, sang a song about bleeding hearts and death, and then another in which she said her heart was like a bird's nest, and then everybody laughed again, and then I went to bed. looking through my bedroom window, out into the moonlight and the unending smoke-colored snow. I could see the lights in all the windows of all the other houses on our hill, and hear the music rising up from them up the long, steady, falling night. I turned the gas down. I got into bed. I said some words to the close and holy darkness, and then I slept. Here's one on the new CD. This is one I learned from Sam Hinton, and I've never found it in a book. It comes from Ukraine, and I imagine it was part of some folk drama from hundreds of years ago where they used to portray the events of Jesus' birth, and some community members would portray Mary and Jesus, and they'd come to the door and they'd knock on the innkeeper's door and he'd tell them there were no rooms left and they'd have to stay in the manger, and this was probably one of the songs they sang. Sing now, brother Adam, songs full of gladness. O Mother Eve, dispel all your sadness. He whom you all have so long expected, he whom of all the Lord has elected, this day to a virgin holy, in a Bethlehem stable lowly, came a child, meek and mild. Wise men bow down to adore him, placing gold and myrrh before him, as of old it was told. Glory to God, the angels are singing, tidings of Jesus' birth they are bringing. He whom from heaven came down to save us, though in a manger, yet life he gave us. Lo, a bright star in its splendor shines upon this child so tender. Be adored, precious Lord. Let us all in songs of praising thank our God for his amazing gift of love from above. This next one was written by two teenagers in Oberndorf, Austria, 200 years ago. It was first sung in that little village church in Oberndorf, Austria, on Christmas night in 1818, and now 200 years later, it's sung in some 200 different languages. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, around yon virgin mother and child, holy infant so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. This next one's on the new CD. It was collected in Ruth Crawford Seeger's wonderful book, American Folk Songs for Christmas, published back in 1953. It was collected 100 years ago in South Carolina at St. Helena Island in the Georgia Sea Islands. The African American people who live there, they've been there for so many centuries, they not only have their own folk songs and hymns and spirituals, they have their own African American language called Gullah, and they have their own holiday songs. And this one has a chorus that says, "The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone." Put yourself in the mind of a fire and brimstone Baptist preacher from South Carolina from 100 years ago, telling people that if they didn't get on the train for salvation, they'd be standing at the platform, and the people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. We're going to do this one Baptist style. I'm going to sing, "Mary had a baby," and you're going to respond, "Ah, Lord." Then I'm going to sing, "Mary had a baby," and your response is, "Ah, my Lord." Then I'm going to sing, "Mary had a baby," and your response is, "Ah, Lord." And then as a great big group, we're all going to sing, "The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone." Well, Mary had a baby, ah, Lord. Mary had a baby, ah, my Lord. Mary had a baby, ah, Lord. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. She laid him in a manger, ah, Lord. Laid him in a manger, ah, my Lord. Laid him in a manger, ah, Lord. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. And stars shined above him, ah, Lord. A star shined above him, ah, my Lord. A star shined above him, ah, Lord. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. You know an angel flew above him, ah, Lord. An angel flew above him, ah, my Lord. An angel flew above him, ah, Lord. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. Wise men brought him presents, ah, Lord. Wise men brought him presents, ah, my Lord. Wise men brought him presents, ah, Lord. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. King Herod tried to find him, ah, Lord. Herod tried to find him, ah, my Lord. Herod tried to find him, ah, Lord. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. So they fled away to Egypt, ah, Lord. They fled away to Egypt, ah, my Lord. They fled away to Egypt, ah, Lord. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. And a star shined above 'em, ah, Lord. A star shined above 'em, ah, my Lord. A star shined above 'em, ah, Lord. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. You know an angel flew above him, ah, Lord. An angel flew above him, ah, my Lord. An angel flew above him, ah, Lord. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. This next one is on the new CD. It was written by a contemporary singer-songwriter named John Mccutchen. He found this story in a book by John Jacob Niles in the public library, published in 1927. It's called The Singing Soldiers. It's a true story from the First World War about the English fighting the Germans in France on Christmas night of 1914. It's the story of Christmas in the Trenches. My name is Francis Tolliver, I come from Liverpool. The First World War was waiting for me when I finished school. To Belgium and to Flanders, to Germany to here, I fought for king and country I loved dear. 'Twas Christmas in the trenches, and the frost so bitter hung. The frozen fields of France were cold, no Christmas songs were sung. Our families back in England were toasting us that day, their brave and glorious lads so far away. I was lying with my messmate on the cold and rocky ground, when across the lines of battle came a most peculiar sound. Said I, now listen up, me boys, each soldier strained to hear, as one lone German voice rang out so clear. He's singing bloody well, you know, my partner said to me. Soon one by one each German voice joined in harmony. The cannons rested silent, and the gas clouds rolled no more, as Christmas brought us respite from the war. And when his song was finished, and a reverent pause was spent. God rest ye merry gentlemen, struck up some boys from Kent. The next they sang was Steely Knocked, 'tis silent night, says I, and in two tongues one song lit up that sky. There's someone coming toward us, the frontline sentry cried. All eyes were fixed on one lone figure, trudging from their side. His peace flag like a Christmas star shone on the plain so bright, as he bravely strode unarmed into the night. Then one by one on either side walked into no man's land, with neither gun or bayonet. We met them hand to hand. We shared some secret brandy, and we wished each other well. And in a flare-lit soccer game, we gave 'em hell. We traded chocolates and cigarettes and photographs from home. These sons and fathers far away from families of their own. Young Sanders played his squeeze box, and they had a violin. This curious and unlikely band of men. Daylight stole upon us, and France was France once more. With long goodbyes and sad farewells, we settled back to war. But the question haunted every man who lived that wondrous night: whose family have I fixed within my sight? 'Twas Christmas in the trenches, and the frost so bitter hung. The frozen fields of France were warmed as Christmas songs were sung. For the walls they built between us to exact the work of war had crumbled and were gone forevermore. My name is Francis Tolliver, in Liverpool I dwell. Each Christmas come since World War I. I've learned the lessons well, that the ones who call the shots won't be among the dead and lame, and on each end of the rifle we're the same. That's on the new CD, Make My Present Small, Traditional Folk Songs for Christmas and the Winter Holidays. Make My Present Small is the perfect holiday gift. A real three-dimensional physical CD that can be autographed and stuffed in a Christmas stocking, wrapped and placed under the tree as a gift, and passed on to children and grandchildren who will listen to it over and over again for years to come. The album contains 3 pages of historical and descriptive liner notes that explain how these folk songs travel through history and how history travels through these folk songs. Last year, I was the recipient of the Storytelling World Resource Award, and this new CD contains my acclaimed story for the holidays, Elizabeth Cotten and the Old Christmas Hum. It's available from my website, folksinging.org, folksinging.org, folksinging.org. I would like to thank the sponsors. You know, the Noteworthy Sundays, a free community concert series at your library, is sponsored by the Friends of the Library, Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence J. Heck, the Washington County Arts Council, and the Western Maryland Regional Library. Please remember that libraries will get you through times of no money, a whole lot better than money's going to get you through times in all libraries. My name is Adam Miller. Thank you for inviting me back to your library. Here's wishing you all safe and happy holidays. I'd like to close the program with a song I call the Welsh New Year's Carol. I learned this one from my mentor, Sam Hinton. Sam worked as the director of the Scripps Aquarium in San Diego, California from 1946 to 1964, and he worked with a number of marine biologists there, and one of them was a man by the name of Joel W. Hedgepeth. And if you look in the marine biology section of your library, you will likely find the textbooks that he wrote. Joel Hedgepeth was of a Welsh extraction, and he knew an old, obscure Welsh New Year's carol. He taught it to Sam, and since Sam didn't speak Welsh, and Welsh is difficult to pronounce, the two of them translated it into English, and that's how I learned it. Now, Sam and Joel passed away years ago. They're long gone, and I might be the last person who still sings this song, so I'd better pass it on to you before we go. I call this one the Welsh New Year's Carol. The old year is sadly now taking its flight. The heavy clouds gather and deepen the night. The winter rains fall and the weary wind blows, and the bells are all ringing to see the year close. Though we wish it would tarry, time flies on its wing. In summer and autumn and winter and spring, the young and the old gaily dance now and sing. To welcome the new year, now hear the bells ring. And now we must welcome the coming new year, and all greet each other with tidings of cheer. So let us be loyal and loving and true, from now through the new year and all the year through. Thank you.